Look at those dials. Look at the water temperature staying good. Look at that oil pressure. Look at those dials. This thing is amazing. Oh, I'm so happy. I need to do the happy rain dance. Happy rain dance in the rain with the Rover that's not dead at the moment or on fire. Woohoo! Okay, the radiator might be a bit warm. Furious Driving, proud to be supported by Diamond Bright, protecting, cleaning and caring for the Furious fleet and for yours with 10% off using code FD10. Follow the links in the description below. Hello and welcome to Furious Driving, and it's a P6 day. It's the first time we've seen this car in quite a while, and today you can actually see the thing run as well. Hooray! Now, this is, for a quick recap in case you are not aware of this particular car, this is my 1973 Rover P6 V8, which a little while ago it got a 4.6 litre V8 plonked in the front end, which then promptly refused to work. So over the last year or so of videos, or last year anyway, we've done lots of things. James from Nitro Sylvia has come and helped me out. We've rebuilt the carbs, we did all kinds of things underneath it, checking timing, did a high flow oil pump, done all kinds of stuff to try and make the thing go. Eventually I got very, very frustrated, and back in January of this year, that's 10 months ago, we had it shipped down to another garage somewhere else to have a look at trying to make it go. They diagnosed cam timing out, so basically my fault, my bad, I'll hold my hands up to that. I got the cam lobes enough out that it wasn't colliding with the valves and causing a mechanical issue, so you couldn't tell, and it looked correct, but it wasn't actually closing enough to get compression, so the car was never going to start. They then corrected that, and then fantastic, it worked. However, problem, last video you saw of this car a few weeks back, it was doing a really weird thing. It would get great oil pressure when they pulled the distributor out, spun it on a drill, and it worked beautifully. However, the moment you turn the key, the oil pressure just vanished instantly, and there was like a strange gurgly noise. Now, to my mind, that means oil starvation, and I put the video up and lots of people commented lots of ideas. My ideas were basically going to be, it's either the oil return pressure valve spring in the pump is at fault, and so it's limiting the amount of oil going through, or it's going to be something to do with the oil pickup. Either there's too little oil in the sump, which would be a nice easy fix, or I've not bolted the oil pickup thing correctly on. It's come loose and it's picking up air and sucking air through, and that's why you're getting the gurgling noise and a lack of pressure. So that could be the thing. Anyway, they didn't seem particularly inclined to carry on doing any work to it, so my dad helped me out with the tow, and we trailered the car all the way over here to Hawk Classics, which was utterly uneventful apart from this moment when the GoPro fell off. And it's now here with me in Hawk Classics. And now we can see what being left outside under a tree for quite a few weeks does to new paint, which is not a good thing necessarily. A friend of mine has recently started work here, and it's the first time I've used the company, and I've been very, very happily impressed, because I dropped it down on Thursday morning. By Thursday afternoon, they had a diagnosis. This picture you're looking at right now is the oil pickup, which I was correct, it was that. However, it wasn't what I thought it was. Nice, easy fix in so much as that when I've been bolting it back together on the garage floor, and you may recall this is quite a tricky thing to do on a garage floor, the gasket had slipped sideways a little bit, and it was partly blocking the oil pickup. That's all it was. 20p gasket, misaligned, engine wasn't going to run. Can you believe it's so simple? And it was fixed in a matter of, minutes. I hadn't investigated that myself because I assumed that meant taking the engine out again. Of course, on a 4-post lift, there's some quite cool cars in there, you can get access to it, turn the crank to the right position, you can drop that down nice and easily. So, fantastic. And that does mean that for the first time since I've had this car, I can get in it, I can turn this key, hear the fuel pump. Wow. So we've got a running V8, but there are a couple of issues with this, which I'll turn it off and show you in a moment. But first of all, just listen to this thing purr. That is so smooth, it's amazing. And also, check out this oil pressure. This isn't even on the choke. That's just at idle, at 1200 RPM, we're getting 30 PSI, which is loads for a idling Rover V8. That's amazing. However, we are not completely out of the woods yet. Right, so this is the gasket that was causing all the problem. This literally is a 10p gasket that has cost me quite a few £100 now. You can see the imprint where it was misaligned, and so there wasn't getting the full oil weight coming through. Can't believe, whoops, that was such a simple thing. However, a couple of issues. You might notice I'm still running from a fuel tank on the side of the engine bay. That's partly because the old fuel lines are quite old and I would like to replace them, but secondly, because this is what's currently in the fuel tank. Now, I thought the previous garage had actually drained and refilled the fuel tank. That's not the case. Secondly, we have got a missing shim on the crank pulley, which means that the bolt is slightly too long, or the washer is missing or something, and this does actually rock back and forth. I can't do it one-handed now, about ½ a centimetre, which is not good. And thirdly, and this is the most worrying problem, I'll show you a picture of this. I'm not going to run it up to the point where I did it again, but these headers, which are beautiful stainless headers, got cherry red in a matter of minutes. When the cam was being run in, these got cherry red, and they should not get cherry red. So we wonder if perhaps the cam timing is still ever so slightly out, and we're getting unburnt or partial explosions from the detonations of the running of the engine into the exhaust, and that is causing that. It sounds amazing, honestly, it sounds beautiful, doesn't it? I'm going to start it again now it's cooled down, because it is just so nice. Just listen to this thing. Oh, this thing is beautiful. I'm so happy with this. I can't wait to actually drive it somewhere. I'll turn it off again. This thing is lovely. Right, so this is where we are now. The car is here, it's with Hawk Classics, and the question I've now got to go and ask myself and my bank account is, what do we want Hawk to do? They're going to send me some quotes and work out whether I can afford to keep on doing it or not. The rest of this video will depend on what happens in the next couple of hours. Well, look who's come running home, tail between his legs, with his engine almost running. Yes, it's Sleaze, the big old Rover V8, is now back home again. And what happened was, well, I'll tell you all about that in a second. But first of all, got some big NEC news. First of all, as I've said already in previous posts and on various social media platforms, yes, going to be the NEC again in about a week or so now, week and a half, the 10th, 11th, 12th of November, NEC Classic Motor Show Hall 3/3A with Ian and Steph, Hubnut and iDriver Classic. Car I'm taking is still TBC, because I'm waiting to see if I can get Plan A, the Alpha 145 clutch sorted out, Plan B, the little Rover 200 VI, which is behind the camera. Actually quite a favourite car, the 200 VI, so that might be the one that goes, but emphasis on the word little. I'm not sure I can get all the gear in it. Plan C is of course the Freelander, because that'd be quite cool to take that up there with a roof tent on top. And Plan D, if this thing gets going, well, this would be rather cool, wouldn't it? There are two exciting NEC bits of information to partake in. First of all, we've got a discount code. If you go to the NEC Classic Motor Show website, which is www.neclassicmotorshow.com, and then go /furious-driving, link will be in the description below, you can get yourself a discount on your tickets to get in. I know it's an expensive show and I know the parking's a lot. Yeah, we know. But that'll save you a couple of pounds, and hopefully that'll make it possible for you to come along and say hello. Secondly, if you want to pay nothing at all, I've got a competition for 2 tickets to run. So you need to email to shop@furiousdriving.co.uk and tell me an answer. This was a 3.5 litre Rover V8 in it. It has now got something far more exciting. What is the size of this new engine, which came out of a P38 Range Rover? Tell me that size, your name, your email address I think I need to know, don't I? Yeah, name and email, maybe a phone number in case email doesn't work, and I will randomly pick a person 1 week from today, which will be next Sunday. So hang on. Next Sunday, I'll flash it on the screen. It'll be the first Sunday in November. I'll do a randomizer of all the people. So we've got a week from the day I'm filming this, possibly 6 days from the day this video goes out, depending how quickly I edit it. Right now, so that is the NEC. Free tickets, potentially, definitely a discount. Now, what happened over at Hawk? Well, they did a fantastic job. They sorted the oil pressure out, then they discovered the fact it was running warm. They did a little bit more investigation work. They popped the rockers off and they investigated the shim clearances, because that was a possibility. They were getting detonation from the cylinders into the exhaust through incorrect shims. That all appeared to be correct though, so that went back together again, and they gave me like a menu of prices of how much each extra investigation was going to cost, and then the rectification cost if it came to that. And I looked at that, and I looked at my bank account, and having spent quite a lot at the previous garage already, I decided I couldn't afford to do any more. So we brought it home. Luckily, and this is beyond lucky, my friend who works there we're both in the same car club together, and they were moving one car over in that direction and they had an empty trailer coming back again, and they said, would I like the car brought back home? And well, it does raise the slight awkward question of where am I going to put it. And yes, I know before you say that car should be indoors, it's far too nice to be living outside in the rain. I know, we all know that. Unfortunately, there's the small matter of the dead weight of 2 tons of pig iron on axle stands in front of the garage just there, and the 2 tons of dead weight of pig iron of Mercedes in there. And the barn is full as well. So yeah, we'll figure something out, but yeah, I'm on it. Yeah, don't have to tell me the car should be indoors. I know it should be indoors. Yeah, so anyway, we've now got a few hopefully simple bits of investigation to do. Let's pop the bonnet and have a look. Oh, the bonnet though, the bonnet looked horrific. I was really a bit upset about the state of the bonnet, having been outside in the yard so long, 10 months, and the bird poop and the tree lime and everything, and I was actually concerned I might not better bring that back. I was sort of looking forward to having a go at polishing it and seeing what I could do, but the guys at Hawk did actually spend a couple of hours and didn't build me this and didn't tell me they were doing it. They kind of felt sorry for me. They polished this, they spent a couple of hours polishing it, and it's just rained so it doesn't look amazing, but you can see how it's beading. The paint on the bonnet has come back. The guy, Brian, who painted it about 10 years ago, did a beautiful job. It's like new paint. So I'm kind of relieved. I'm in no way annoyed that they've saved me a couple of hours work and proved that the paint is actually fine. But yes, I'm very, very relieved indeed. And thanks guys, Hawk Classics, Northfleet and Kent, cannot recommend them enough. Really, really good. Thanks guys. So let's have a quick look at under the bonnet and see what we've got to deal with. Now I've got a fair bit of cleaning under this bonnet to do, having this sat around outside for so long, and these lovely stainless headers have gone a bit in places, so we need to tidy those up as well. So the direction that the investigation was probably going to go was to investigate, first of all, they were kind of thinking that the cam timing was not right. Although the previous garage had reset the cam timing to get the car started, this isn't a standard cam. This is a Crower, I forget the actual number. I did send the new garage details of it recently, I've forgotten what it is again, but it's basically a fast road cam. So possibly the cam opening and closing times are different to standard, and that might mean if they set it to standard, then that's not correct. So they quoted me to basically take the timing cover off again and investigate that, and then it's basically quite a few more £100 if that was going to be the issue. However, I'm hoping it's not that, because there are other options. I was talking to my friend James, the rubbish mechanic, last night. He's the guy who came down, helped with the 200 VI, putting the engine back together. After I took the head off, skimmed the head and rebuilt all the top end and everything, James came and helped me put the whole car back together in the pouring rain, as I remember. As a good friend. He's also actually a master mechanic, and he looked at the video, and the fact that there's a little pause as the car's about to start, he thinks there's a combination of potential 2 things here, potentially slightly too lean on the carburetors and slightly too advanced on the ignition, and if that's all it is, then I'm going to be a very happy bunny indeed. So I'm going to start off with the absolute basics, which is popping out a couple of plugs at the front of the engine and seeing what colour they are, because that hopefully will give us a clue as to which direction to go. And by the way, you can tell it's now turning into autumn/winter because I've got the black working on the car hat on. These are available on the website shop, furiousdriving.co.uk. Nudge nudge, as are the lovely mini work in progress mugs. And Rover mugs too. So that is that front plug there, and that is very black indeed, which I would suggest means running too rich. I was imagining it's going to be running too lean, but no, it's running too rich if anything. I'll check out 1 or 2 other plugs just to have a quick looky see, but if that's running too rich, then that could be jumping too much fuel into the cylinders, and then yeah, that'd be why it's detonating too much perhaps. Well, it has really only been running kind of on the choke still at the moment. Well, that's very interesting. This is the second one back in the centre of the bank on this side. This is a white tip thing, which means it's running too lean. Now, this is interesting. On the other bank of cylinders, the first and second from the front both look like this, which is sort of quite black, which means running rich. So I'm a bit confused as to what on earth the mixture is doing. I'm going to pull out a couple more and continue my investigations. This is why investigation work at garages takes a long time, because the time it takes to get into these engines and pull the plugs out, it adds up, and you're paying basically top whack money for someone who's got a lot of experience to sit here and fiddle plugs in and out. Interestingly, the third one back, this is also showing lean. So I wonder if the black ones are only black because the choke's been out, and now we've got another black one. Curious. Right, so having looked at all the spark plugs and showing them to James again, kind of thinking it's not the carburetors, so I'm going to go for the ignition timing, which means the very simple expedient of undoing the 9/16 or slackening the 9/16 bolt at the base of the distributor and turning it a couple of degrees. Now I think anti-clockwise for a retard on one of these. I'm only going to go a tiny bit. I'm going to take a photo of the position of a bolt on the side of it now, so I can put it back here if I need to. Just a tiny bit. Crank it back tight again. Now this, ironically, is where this entire project started, because a couple of years ago, when this had the original 3.5 litre in it, the timing was so knackered in this engine that every time you turn the engine off, it would slip, and I had to drive around with a 9/16 and a socket and extension bar, and every time I turned the car off, I had to get back out the car and readjust it so I could turn it on again. Suboptimal. Right, let's see if this does anything. Right, so we have a fuel system in place, and that means I'm going to try and fire it up, see if that ignition timing made any difference. Might need a bit of extra assistance, and I've not in the car to give the throttle. You're not pumping fuel, or is the fuel no good? Now, the choke isn't currently connected, which is an issue on a cold daylight today. Right, I've now got the choke fixed. Okay, I'm going to put the ignition timing back where it was in that case and see if it fires up like that. It might simply be we've got bad fuel though, which should be a problem. Why aren't you starting now? Oh, I hate you, car. You were firing up beautifully a day ago. That doesn't sound happy. So I'm going to retard that a tiny bit while it's running. It's moving, yikes, it's moving. That appears to be in reverse even though it's in park. That's not good. Okay, we're running again. Pressure is off the chart. It's like 60 psi. That's only running at 3,000 RPM. Well, I'm a good 5 or 6 minutes in and it's not turned red yet, so I mean there's a lot of heat coming off it because, well, you'd expect that. Oh, I've run out of petrol. Damn it. Well, that was running for nearly 10 minutes and no sign of bright red exhaust manifold, so I don't know what that was then. That's a bit of a baffling thing. I need to go and get more petrol now. Right, so after a brief interlude to go and get some more petrol and a fresh cup of tea, I've now just altered the timing just a tiny bit again because it stuttered a bit on startup last time, and we'll see what happens this time. If I go and get the keys. No, I'm not liking that. I'm going to change that timing the other way because that sounded worse. No, it sounded tickety that time, so I'm going to put it back where we started. I'm so and put it back where we start. Oh, whoa, 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 we are getting petrol leaking down there. That's a bad thing. Let's turn this all off right now. I'm glad I saw that. There was literally petrol hissing on this hot manifold. So that's a bad thing. Okay, that has now been fixed by the technical procedure of smacking the float chamber with the fat end of a big screwdriver, and it's no longer squirting fuel everywhere. So I'm guessing it was just a sticking float in that particular carburettor. So let's get back to running this thing up, getting some time on it and seeing if it goes bright red again. I'm going handheld now because it's chucking down with rain. That started easier. Let's get this up to a bit more speed. Oh, bloody hell, it's in gear. Even though it's in neutral, that's not good. Why are you in neutral, not in neutral? So that gear selector needs a bit of attention, I think. Still creeping, even though it should be in neutral. Let's shut this thing down and try and get it into neutral before anyone dies. Okay, so the gear selector points are now completely cockamamie on this thing. Luckily I've got wooden shocks either side of the wheels now. Let's run this thing up again for a few more minutes and see what happens. Right, well that slight tweak in the ignition timing on the distributor seems to have done the trick, because it started up incredibly easily that time. How long's it been running for now? About 5 minutes. Still no sign of the bright red hot ignition, what do we call them, manifolds. Sounds glorious as well. Trying to get the speed up a little bit more. Proper thundering thing. Sounds amazing. I wish the rain hadn't started again, so I wanted to get a cover back over it. But it's probably a bit counterproductive at this point if I did that. Oh, look at those dials. Look at the water temperature staying good. Look at that oil pressure. Look at those dials. This thing is amazing. Oh, I'm so happy. I need to do the happy rain dance. Happy rain dance in the rain with the Rover that's not dead at the moment or on fire. Woohoo! Okay, the radiator might be a bit warm. Might need to do something about that. Okay, fine. Okay, as it's now raining quite a lot, both from above and below, I'm going to call this a day at this point and call this a functioning, working P6. Ignore the cloud of steam. That's probably just because we haven't got a fan on there, so the water system isn't doing its thing as well as it could do. At least it's warm. But we've now got a functioning car. I mean, I ran that for a good 10 minutes then, and it ran for 10 minutes before. We didn't get the bright red manifold, so just a little tweak of the timing seems to have done the trick. I will refit the fan. The thing is, this is an aftermarket water pump down here, and the fan has got like an off-centre little stud to make it fit on there and locate the correct way around, and the little stud doesn't seem to fit with the new aftermarket fan, so I couldn't fit the fan. I was just hoping it'd be okay for a few minutes because it's really cold out here. I guess it's not. So I'll refit that, we'll try again some more, but I'm going to call this car fixed and running, apart from these several thousand more things that are still waiting to be done. So basically, I'm going to duck under the bonnet because it is really wet and cold. Need to do fuel line, and to replace the fuel system lines that are running from the fuel pump to under the car to the hard lines, because they are not looking great in all fairness. They're very, very old. I don't want them to be the thing that burns the car down. I need to go and take another look at the gear selector, because it seems to be that well, I'm not getting drive and reverse in the right places, so that might need a little bit of fettling. What else do we need to do? That needs to be adjusted down there. Power steering pump needs to go back on, but I can drive without that, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I might actually go straight from an electric fan on there, because that would be better. Wings back on. There's a bit of grey puggy stuff down there which might need some welding, so I'm going to go investigate that. But on the whole, we've got a functioning car. it finally, after about 3 years, because the engine went in during lockdown, it finally actually runs and, well, potentially can drive. It's amazing. Probably want some more oil in the transmission as well, I'd imagine. But yeah, we'll sort a proper transmission on it later. Oh, brakes need bleeding also, because that brake oil fluid will be, you know, there's a ton of things to do. And imagine it's a barn find that I've just found, even though I've had it on the drive the whole time. All that stuff, we'll do all that stuff. Right, I'm gonna say goodbye now because I'm getting very wet indeed. But I'm very happy despite the very wet indeed, because the engine appears to be working. That started so easily, didn't it? And yeah, the exhaust manifolds didn't go orange. So I think, fingers crossed, touch the block of wood that's stopping it rolling away. We've got a fixed P6. This could be on the road in a matter of days or a week or two. That's good, isn't it? Right, like and subscribe. I'm going dry out now. Thank you, goodbye.